Greetings to all. This is Prachasmita Jaina, and I'm here today to talk about the cell injury. So, basically, I'll be discussing about reversible cell injury and its type. So, let's begin. As we know, cells constantly interact with their environment and try to maintain homeostasis. Cell responds to the stress, like physiologic and toxic, via adaptation to maintain the viability and function. So, cell injury is defined as the functional and morphological effects of a variety of stresses due to the etiological changes in the cell. Now, let us see the etiology or the causes of the cell injury. These include hypoxia, physical and chemical agents, infections and immunological causes, genetics, nutritional deficiency, and iatrogenic factors. Types of cell injury. Cell injury results when the cell can no longer adapt to the stress, which can be reversible, implies that once the stress is removed, the cell can return to its original state. But when the stressful stimuli is excessive or persistent, the cellular damage becomes irreversible and cell undergoes cell death. That may occur in a living body as autolysis, necrosis, and apoptosis. And cell death is followed by gangrene and pathological calcification. Now let's talk about the reversible cell injury in detail. It is of four types: hydrophobic change, fatty change, hyaline change, and mucoid change. So first, let us see the hydrophobic change. Hydrophobic change means accumulation of water within the cytoplasm of the cell. It is also known as cloudy swelling because of the gross appearance of the affected organ, and vacuolar degeneration because of the cytoplasmic vacuolation. It is a completely reversible change upon the removal of injurious agent. Etiology. The etiology includes acute and subacute cell injury from various etiologic agents such as bacterial toxins, chemicals, poisons, burns, high fever, intravenous administration of hypertonic glucose or saline. Pathogenesis of hydrophobic change. Cloudy swelling results from impaired regulation of sodium and potassium at the level of cell membrane. This results in the intracellular accumulation of sodium and escape of potassium. This in turn is accompanied by rapid inflow of water into the cell to maintain the isoosmotic condition, and hence cellular swelling occurs. Coming to the morphological features, grossly, the affected organs such as kidney, liver, pancreas, or heart muscle is enlarged due to the swelling. And microscopically, you can see the cells are swollen and the cytoplasm contains small clear vacuoles, and hence it is also called vacuolar degeneration. Small cytoplasmic blebs may also be seen. Now, let us see the second type of reversible cell injury, that is fatty change or steatosis. So, it is the intracellular accumulation of the neutral fat within the parenchymal cells, and it is common in liver but may occur in other non-fatty tissues such as heart, skeletal muscles, kidney, and other organs. But liver is the most commonest site of accumulation of fat because it plays a very important role in the fat metabolism. Etiology or the causes of fatty change. This may be due to disorders with the hepatocyte damage, which includes alcoholic abuse, protein malnutrition, starvation, anoxia, toxins like chloroform. But alcohol is the most common cause. And the fatty change can also occur due to the disorders with the hyperlipidemia like obesity, diabetes mellitus, or congenital hyperlipidemia. Coming to the pathogenesis of fatty change, so various mechanisms are involved in excess accumulation of triglyceride in the liver. and one or more mechanism may be responsible. So firstly, we have to understand the normal lipid metabolism in the liver. The free fatty acids, they are mainly derived either from the diet of the person or from the adipose tissue. Now, these fatty acids enter into the hepatocytes in the form of fatty acid. The fatty acid can also be derived from the acetate, and these fatty acids get converted into triglycerides with the help of alpha glycerophosphate. The triglycerides are then converted into lipoprotein and plasma lipoprotein. Also, the fatty acids can be converted into cholesterol esters, phospholipids, and ketone bodies for the normal body function. Now, for the fatty liver, there has to be defects in these steps. So let us see what are those defects. First, increased entry of the free fatty acids from the diet or from adipose tissues into the liver. Second, decreased conversion of fatty acid in ketone bodies, resulting in increased esterification of fatty acids to triglycerides. Third, increased alpha glycerophosphate, causing increase in triglycerides. Fourth, decreased synthesis of lipid acceptor protein, resulting in decreased formation of lipoprotein from triglycerides. And last, the block in the lipoprotein excretion from the liver into the plasma. The microscopic features. So grossly, you can see in the liver, mild fatty change may not affect the gross appearance, but with the progressive accumulation, the organ enlarges and becomes increasingly yellow until in extreme instances, the liver may weigh 2 or 4 times normal and transform into a bright yellow, soft and a greasy organ. Microscopically, you can see the vacuoles are initially small and present around the nucleus. This is called microvesicular. But with the progression of the process, the vacuoles become larger, pushing the nucleus to the periphery of the cells. This is macrovesicular. At the times, the hepatocytes laden with the large lipid vacuoles, which may rupture, and the lipid vacuoles coalesce to form the fatty cyst. Last but not the least, the staining methods. The identification of lipids requires the avoidance of fat solvents commonly used in paraffin embedding for the routine hematoxylin and eosin stains. So to identify the fat, it is necessary to prepare frozen tissue sections. The sections may be then stained with sudden dyes or oil redo, both of which impart an orange-red color to the lipids. Thank you.